Okay, let me turn my attention to football and recent reports regarding a replay call around our Washington State USC game that appeared in Yahoo Sports, I guess less than 24 hours ago. I wanted to address it directly. And the first thing I want to say is our conference and our leadership has a deep commitment to the integrity of officiating and to protecting student-athlete health and well-being. I think that's been demonstrated through significant investments that have been made in a variety of areas, and real leadership that our conference has played on student-athlete health and welfare, as well as investments in officiating, replay review, and command. Our command center was created 3 years ago, and this is the second year that it is operational for the express reason to do everything possible that technology and investment will allow to get calls right. We realize there's so much at stake during our games, that there are often multiple games going on throughout the conference. And if through technology we could have our best replay officials and support staff in a command center in collaboration, working with our expert officials on the field and in replay booths at our schools, that would be best in class in terms of ensuring consistent and the most correct replay calls possible. What's been reported was of significant concern to me. It was new information I'd not previously been aware of. And something since the report came out that I've had a chance to look into, to have discussions with the individuals involved directly and others. And what I want to share with you is the initial conclusions that I've come to, having had a chance to review the report and look into it. First off, I want to be clear. I've come to the conclusion that we've made mistakes in terms of our procedures involved with replay review in the command center. We mixed administrative oversight and leadership with real-time replay review calls made by our experts on the field, in the stadium, and in the command center. Moreover, we've allowed for ambiguity about who's got the final call and who makes the ultimate decisions in replay review. And what's very important, in any replay or any rule-making decisions is that there be clarity about who makes the decisions, and it's a mistake that we allowed ambiguity about who makes those decisions. So effective immediately, we're doing two things. We're going to launch a more thorough review of how replay works in our conference, that I will have a chance to work with folks internally, with our members, to review our policies and procedures regarding football replay review and the role of the command center. And secondly, we're immediately changing procedures so that conference leadership responsible for football and responsible for officiating, while they'll continue to play their important oversight role in those functions, they will have no involvement in the real-time decision-making behind replay review. Those decisions will be solely in the purview of our replay officials at the stadium, in the command center, and on the field. So wanted to share that'll be implemented immediately with the games upcoming this weekend, as we also launch the more longer-term review and evaluation of our replay procedures. With that, I'm happy to take any questions anyone has about that, but appreciate you letting me share that news.
How big of a concern is just the optics of integrity with this situation? Integrity of not just football, but the conference?
Yeah. Integrity of officiating in the conference is a top priority, along with student-athlete health. So if there's any question, any ambiguity about that, it's something I take very, very seriously. And with what I'm announcing today, I want to make absolutely clear that we're not leaving any room for that going forward. We want to make clear, I want to take away any possible question or shadow of a doubt that anyone has that the decisions that are being made on replay review are made by trained officials that have no other role at the conference aside from that.
The inference in the Yahoo article was that your senior vice president of business affairs was the one who overrode the call by the booth official, according to the replay report. And a guy by the name of Woody Dixon, is he still involved in the replay? And have you taken a look back to see about his possible involvement in other situations as well?
Yeah, so Woody Dixon is got several responsibilities at the conference. He's our general counsel. He's responsible for student-athlete health initiatives, and he oversees all football. He's got long experience working at the NFL, working at the Kansas City Chiefs, and he helped design our command center replay review, and he's a nationally prominent person in discussion about rules and policies around football. He has been involved in support for our replay officials and has been involved in discussions about replay decisions heretofore. Upon reflection, the reason replay was created was to have our elite replay officials be able to work collaboratively here in the command center with our officials in the stadium. And upon reflection, I think that was a mistake to allow, because he's got other responsibilities and he's not an official. I recognize that there's a perception, there could be a perception of a conflict of interest, and because officiating the decisions that happen on the field are of such importance, and the public trust in that is of such importance, we're going to not make sure he's not involved in those discussions going forward.
The report said that, I mean, it inferred that he was the one who actually made that decision. Is that true? And had that happened?
Yeah, so I've had a chance to look into it, investigate. It was not his intention, and he didn't believe he was making a decision. He believed he was trying to offer a point of view, angles on the call, trying to bring to bear consistency with other calls that he wanted our replay officials to consider in making their decisions. Having said that, it was clearly from the replay official in the stadium's perspective and other people's perspective, they clearly interpreted it as a decision or a directive. And from my perspective, that's enough, even if it wasn't intended. And I'm confident it wasn't intended as he's making the decision. He was there to provide support, context, consistency, but none of that matters from my perspective. If there is a perception that he was involved in making a decision, that's inappropriate. And so the only way I know how to eliminate that possible perception going forward is to have him not be involved in the conversations, nor our head of officiating, David Coleman. Those are the two people. Woody Dixon is responsible for football in totality for our conference. David Coleman reports to Woody Dixon. He's our head of officiating. Those are the two people that I hold accountable for the operations of our football, the operations of our officiating. But that important oversight responsibility I've determined should be separated from the day-to-day, real-time review of calls and decisions.
Have you had a chance to have any discussions with any of the replay officials? Because something like that, I'm imagining, would cause some morale problems, some questions, and maybe even some animosity. Have you had a chance to talk to any of the replay officials?
I have. I haven't had a lot of time since the report came out, but I have had a chance to have direct discussions with leadership of our replay official operation, and felt it was important to quickly address this issue and not let it linger.
Do you feel as though they're satisfied with this?
I believe they will be satisfied by it, yes. I haven't had a chance to preview exactly what we're doing, but the feedback I got was important feedback in coming to these decisions.
How often has Woody been involved in situations like that in the past, where he's communicating with people in command center about a specific call?
His responsibilities include him being on site at our game, visiting with our coaches, watching game management, visiting with key personnel at our campuses around games, and sometimes he splits his time between that and being in the command center. So he is not always in the command center. Sometimes he's traveling. I can't quantify exactly how frequent the communication is, but there is enough of it where I realize a significant perception problem, and that's a mistake from my perspective. So whether it was a little or a lot, and I don't have a great answer for you, Kyle, about how to define the frequency of it. But I will tell you what he told me and what the replay leadership told me is it has not been significant.
I mean, other than changing the structure there, obviously having a conference executive weigh in on decisions like that calls into question the integrity of the entire conference, and that's a trust issue at that point. What else can you guys do to ensure fans, coaches, anyone who's really paying attention that there is no undue influence from the conference in what's going on?
What I'm announcing today, I think, is the most significant, strong response that I can imagine at this stage. And going forward, there's a lot I think we can do to compare ourselves to others, to talk to officials, more than I've had a chance to do in the last 12 to, I've lost track of when it was, the article came out, but it hadn't been long. And I want to make these immediate steps now, and I want to take more time to talk to our members, talk to our football coaches, talk to other leaders nationally about what's best in class, what's best practice. So I can't tell you exactly whether there'll be other longer-term changes or not, but I feel like this is the most significant step I can make now to acknowledge that we made a mistake in allowing this situation to develop, to allowing any shred of concern about integrity or ambiguity. And I feel like it's my responsibility to make the most significant change I can make right now to lift any cloud that might exist, even for the next games that we play starting Friday night.
Are you concerned that this has been, this is only one example, but are you concerned that there's been several in the past that might have been influenced, and people are going to look back at controversial calls and kind of wonder, was the Pac-12 call?
Yeah, I'm not. As I mentioned in answer to an earlier question, I've had a chance since the report came out to have direct conversations with our replay officials and leadership, and I've asked those questions point blank, and I'm not aware of any other incident where our replay officials have had a concern.
And last one for me, is there going to be any sort of punishment for people involved in this situation, or is this just a change of policy for you guys in the future?
It's a change in policy. And we'll have the chance to review with more time and think about other issues, but I'm confident there is no malintent or anything like that, and I take responsibility for our policy being what it is ultimately, and this ambiguity being there.
Would that be beneficial, perhaps, to some of the people who might have questions to say, here are the times and the instances when this individual was in the command center?
I think could be. Yeah. So I think with more time, as we launch an immediate review, I'll get a better handle on that. In the 12 hours since the report came out, knowing that the media were here today and wanting to have a bias for immediate and very clear acknowledgement that this was a mistake and action in terms of clearing it up, I haven't had a chance to document that. Yeah.
Would you guys be open to sharing the officiating reports in the future as a way for transparency to start rebuilding the trust with people who follow the conference?
Yeah, that hasn't been our policy, and I don't think it's any other conference's policy for, I think, good reasons that have been well thought through, but that's something I'll think about going forward.
What are the reasons for not sharing?
I think our league, as well as other leagues, have not thought it's a healthy or helpful thing to grade publicly every call. We think transparency is of critical importance in terms of the communication with football coaches and schools, and there's a process. Every weekend, after every game, our coaches have the opportunity to submit questions to our head of officiating about calls. If they think a mistake was made, if they want a clarification about a rule, we've got a very open process, very transparent process with the schools where they submit a question, they always get an answer to the question about whether a call was right, whether a call was wrong. If they want an explanation, they get it by Monday. To allow for that transparency, that's a private conversation, and our coaches and our administrators are not allowed to talk about it publicly, and we don't talk about it publicly. And I think that's been reviewed from time to time. I'm sure it's been reviewed from time to time with other leagues. I think our policy is consistent with other leagues.
Okay, that's all we have time for. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.